What is going on, everyone? My name's Andy and welcome to another FPL video, and today we're doing a review because the next game week is a couple of weeks away because of the international break. Don't want to do a preview just yet, so I thought I'd get out a review, go through my team, how it went, any mistakes I made, and then take a look at initial thoughts going into game week 9. So obviously this is a review of game week 8, just gone, but we'll have some thoughts about game week 9, especially around the likes of Salah and Hazard and captaincy and things like that. So let's just jump straight into it. So given that I had a captain fail this week, I actually did pretty good in the end, 71 points, pretty respectable. Game week ranked just over 505k, so not as good as maybe previous weeks, but still a fairly good score. And I bumped up from 19.1k to 13.1k. So I've said it a few times in streams and stuff. I'm not usually this high up in the rankings at this stage of the season. By the end of the season, definitely been higher as well. But this stage of the season, I'm usually in the kind of 100, 200, 300,000 and looking to climb up and chase the pack. But this time I'm kind of in that pack, and instead of chasing the top 10k, I'm, well, obviously still trying to get into that. But obviously chasing the kind of top 1k and even further as well. So I think points are still quite tight at the top. And so a couple of bad game weeks could really knock me down. A couple of good game weeks could really knock me up. So until we get further into the season and points get a bit more spread out, I'm not going to worry about it too much. But it's still nice to see a low number this early on in the season. So let's just talk about the big moves, I suppose, or the big things that happened last week for me. KANE captain, look, kind of said that it was maybe a little bit of a risk. I mean, it was Cardiff at home. I mean, not a risk to captain someone at Cardiff at home, but a risk to maybe do it such a short-term move. I said myself it was only a 2-week punt. I think because I got him in for that Huddersfield game and got 2 goals from him, it doesn't feel as bad. But obviously, by captaining him, I didn't go for Hazard, which I said could be a problem. I said, you know, bringing in KANE to captain him to purposely not captain Hazard, who's been in really good form, was looking like it could be a mistake, and it was. And I called it and didn't go for it anyway. I could have still captained Hazard even though I had KANE in. That was really for a Salah punt. I think for those moves, I really got punished by Wilson. Took Salah out as well. Obviously, he didn't do anything, but took out Wilson, who got 19 points. So I think overall, for the actual moves I made, I'm about even because Richarlison got his goal. But given that I took the captain off of Hazard, then I'm definitely down points overall. So got a bit of praise for taking out Salah for KANE last week, fair enough. But I should also take a bit of flack that those 2 moves didn't work, and got to hold my hand up and say it was a short-term move. I won't do too many of them over the course of the season. I went for the points, nearly paid off. But obviously KANE against Cardiff at home didn't work, and if you were taking hits and stuff, it was always going to be risky because I don't think you're going to look to captain him again until game week 15. So I think he's got okay fixtures, but for me, in value for money, 12.5 million is too much to be spending at this point when we've got so many other heavy hitters to fit in when you're not going to captain. Now, I know people will shout at me and say, well, Salah's 12.8 and you're going to think about getting him, which I'll come on to soon. But I will look at captaining Salah, and I think that is the big difference right now. So starting at the back, Ryan finally came in for me. I said I maybe made a mistake on wildcard by getting him in, but while I was on that wildcard, I had to look longer term, and I kind of looked for this run of fixtures. And it's quite nice that on the first good game of the run of fixtures I looked at, that he got the clean sheet, a couple of saves as well, and bonus points, which was really nice. So 9 points on Friday night was awesome. And obviously one of the reasons I got him in was because of Button. If Ryan gets injured, his replacement comes straight in. Doherty, 15 points. I mean, that man is a legend. I think he scored something like 47 points or something like that in the last 4 game weeks I've had him. Got him on a wild card, and that's really when he's just taken off. I think he's got 3 double-digit hauls, and then maybe a score of 8 in between off the top of my head. He's been amazing. I don't think you've missed the boat on him just yet. Wolves do have some trickier fixtures coming up. But for 4.7 million, the kind of positions he's getting into and the position he plays as a wing-back, he is like a mini Alonso. I mean, he's been better than Alonso since I've had both of them in my wildcard. Alonso's got 2, 6, 2 and 6, I think, were his scores. So it's been pretty poor for the prices. Doherty's been amazing. You know, over the course of the season, obviously he's not going to keep those scores up necessarily, not at least 47 in 4 game weeks, but he could provide value for money still at 4.7. So I would look at bringing him in if you don't have him already. Looks like a really good option. Alonso, like I say, he is a lot of money. You have to kind of value him like you would anyone else. And I think when he's that much money, you want to get attacking returns. And he's not looked as good attacking wise recently. And the problem for him is, or the problem for us when we're considering whether to get rid of him or not, is players like Mendy are back now. It looks like the Mendy or Sané theory is pretty legit. Mendy comes back and Sané goes straight out of the team, even though he's looked pretty good. So it looks like they only really kind of want one for that width down the left. So Alonso to Mendy could be on. I mean, Mendy has okay options. Man City have okay fixtures, but every other week they play a top 6 side for I think like the next 6 game weeks. So I don't think Mendy is although he did so well at the start of the season, he's not one I'm necessarily going straight in for. I'm looking at a Liverpool defender. If you've not got a Liverpool defender with their fixtures coming up, Fulham, Cardiff and Huddersfield the next 4, which I'm going to talk about a lot, I'm sure. I definitely want a defender in for them. Obviously, Robertson's the key pick there, I think, for I think he's 6.2 or 6.3 million now. Left back role, he's got it locked down. Moreno is just not a good enough option to play there. Trent Alexander-Arnold is someone else I got my eye on. He's 5.2 million now on the other side. Has some set pieces as well. The only problem with him is he just got rested against Man City or rotated out for Gomez played on the right and Lovren came back in. Now, I don't know if Gomez is going to suddenly lose his place to Lovren because he's played so well. And a lot of Liverpool fans I saw on Twitter and stuff saying that he's been their best player. So he'll probably keep his place. I think Trent comes back in, especially for the easier games. Obviously, he's very creative or can be creative from that side. Obviously, he's not like a midfield creative spark or anything, but can provide crosses and set pieces and stuff. So I think Klopp will get him back in. He's not going to need that defensive security like he did against Man City. So I think he'll come back in, although I will say that it's put me off a little bit that he got rested against Man City, because obviously you're okay if you bring someone in and get rotated every now and again. It's against a big club, but you don't want to see that in the easier fixtures when you'd hope points returns would be high. So I am looking at him, but don't know if I'm going to go for him straight away. We'll see. I'll talk about my transfers soon. And then Trippier, 7 points. I mean, that man's been really good since I brought him in. Didn't quite get the good haul against Brighton, but double figures last week, 7 this week. I arguably should be looking at keeping him because I think Spurs' fixtures, while I wouldn't captain Kane, I do think they're okay, even though there's a few away games in there. I think it could be good for clean sheets. The problem with Trippier is if Aurier comes back, we just don't know how often he's going to be in the team. I expect Trippier to start more often than not, maybe even kind of 3 or 4 games in 5, but there's always that threat, and it'll be a pain. I think with the fixtures Liverpool got, I'm looking at shifting Trippier to Liverpool defender, but a part of me does think he's been really good for you. Double figure hauls, he's on set pieces and stuff while Eriksen's out as well. I should maybe look at keeping him, so let me know what you think about Trippier, but I'm probably going to offload him. I'll talk about him with my transfer soon. Then moving up, obviously Hazard, arguably a set and forget captain option. I know most of the time I wouldn't like to captain a player against Man United, who is who he has this week, but he has caused Man United a lot of problems in the past, especially when Mourinho's been playing for, managing Man United. He kind of has this, like, he's just scared of Hazard, and he wants to put a player on him to kind of shackle him down. He's done that with Herrera in recent seasons, and it's worked once, I think, but in the other couple of fixtures we kind of got destroyed by him. In the FA Cup he obviously won the penalty and then converted it as well, so arguably a set and forget captain option. I still think he's scoring a lot of goals for the amount of shots on target he has. I mean, if you look at the list of he had 1 shot on target this week and got 1 goal, and if you look at the list of players that are in that, you've got players like Dyer and Matic and players like that. That's kind of who he's competing with. But can't deny that he's just in form right now, getting assists as well. He mops up bonus points when he gets double attacking returns, even when he only gets 1 attacking return. As long as it's not like a 1-0 win, he'll probably do quite good on bonus, and he's got penalties in his locker, so I can't begrudge getting him in like at all. I mean, I've had him since Cardiff and his price has just skyrocketed, so really glad I got him in, but I just can't help but feel that he's not going to be able to keep up these goals unless he keeps up the penalties, so we'll have to see whether they keep winning them. But obviously a really good option, and the way he's performing, he looks like last year's Salah right now. Obviously things can change, but looking good for him. And then Richarlison and Maddison, I think around that price, they're kind of the players that people are looking at. Richarlison got moved to striker. I think sometimes players get put into out of positions, more attacking. It doesn't always work out better. You know, midfielders go and play as strikers, and it's not necessarily always better. He obviously got the goal. I think he can do that from the left, so I'm not too bothered about him being a striker. I think the one thing that tells me is that he is kind of the one that they want to go and get the goals. Obviously, Sigurdsson scored a cracker at the weekend. He's come into a little bit of form. But I think Richarlison is their main kind of, not necessarily creative spark, but goal threat, I think. I think they're the ones that, he's the one that they want all the play to go through, or at least end up on him. And he can start converting. He does seem to convert goals when he doesn't have many attempts on target. And then in matches where he has loads of attempts, doesn't necessarily score. But I think it evens itself out. And he's looking like a really good option. And Maddison, Leicester got a really, really good run of fixtures coming up after Arsenal away. So definitely keeping him. Obviously he blanked, but he's ticked over so nicely for me. I don't really have too many concerns around him. And I may even look at doubling up on Leicester, which I'll come on to in a minute. Jimenez up front, 5 points. So Goals are a bit of a concern with him. He's not getting the bonus points. He's not getting goals. I've had him for 4 weeks. He's got attacking returns every week, so definitely not begrudging it for his price. Obviously, in that kind of bracket, you've got Ings, who's probably a bit unlucky against Chelsea not to do better, but I think Jimenez is the better bet right now. And if he can convert some of the chances, and he is getting quite a few, then the points are definitely going to come, even more so than they already have. Obviously, not begrudging assists here and there, but they don't necessarily rack up the bonuses as much as a goal does for a striker. So, really good returns, 8, 5, 5 and 5, which is nearly 6 points per game, which is brilliant for someone priced at that kind of amount. I feel he can do more, and I'm hoping he can do more, so I'm really happy to keep him. KANE I've already spoke about. He's going for me. That was always the plan. I don't really see any reason to keep, so he's going. And Aguero is a bit of a funny one because he's not playing much more than 60 to 65 minutes. Seems to have a knock. As I said in kind of recent videos and streams, the one good thing is Pep doesn't seem to necessarily trust Jesus. So even though Aguero's carrying a bit of a knock, he's still played every single game. And if he can get fully fit over the international break, or at least get some fitness up, then hopefully he'll be a really good captain option still against the likes of Burnley. So I'm definitely keeping him for now, but I can see why people are maybe not looking at rushing him back and just seeing how things go. And I suppose over the next couple of weeks, if it was a choice between KANE or Aguero, well, you know KANE's going to play 80 to 90 minutes. With West Ham away, yes, it's not as good as Burnley at home, but it's okay. And then the next fixture after that is KANE versus Aguero, and KANE's at home. So I don't think it's necessarily the worst time to keep KANE. But for me, I'll be glad I've got Aguero, and I'll be glad I'm getting Salah back. So, yeah, to kind of talk about my kind of transfer plans, it all revolves around Salah now. I know people are going to shout at me and say, look, if you're not going for KANE for that price, why are you going for Salah? One is I'll captain Salah, or at least I'm pretty sure I will. And also, the fixtures he's blanked in so far, 3 against, I think he's blanked 4 times. 3 are against top 6 sides, and the other one was against Leicester. Now, obviously, you can't keep saying throughout the whole season, oh, he had a really good chance, but he missed it. At the end of the day, if he's missing chances, that's not good. But on the flip side, if he's getting those chances, you'd imagine if, as he was so good last year, he'll start converting them. And I suppose the key is now, it doesn't really matter what's gone. I think people before the last 4 fixtures, which let's remind ourselves were Man City, Chelsea and Spurs, and then Southampton thrown in as well, who he scored against. We knew there were tough fixtures. We discussed about getting rid of him. A lot of people did that, but yet we're surprised when the points don't come in. And I find that weird. I think if you kept hold of him and now you're looking at getting rid, that's a mistake. You've basically kept him through hard fixtures, and then the good ones are come in, and now you're looking at getting rid. And I think that's possibly going to be a mistake. I got rid of him for 2 tough fixtures, kept him for that Southampton game. And I'm looking at bringing him back. I think I looked at a few players who are maybe KANE not in such good books now, but he was this week. And then Lacazette obviously doing well, and Aguero. And the teams they're scoring against, apart from KANE against Man United, it's mostly been weaker sides. The likes of Brighton, Huddersfield and Cardiff popped up a lot. Fulham obviously conceded a lot of goals as well, so that's a really good fixture. And Salah has Cardiff, Huddersfield and Fulham in the next 4. And I know I'm going to talk about that loads and keep repeating myself, but I can't help but look at those fixtures and think I need Liverpool players. And if I'm going to captain one, yes, there's Mane, but for me, I don't trust him as much as I do for Salah, and obviously I'm paying a premium for that. If I can get Salah in and keep Aguero, Hazard, have a Liverpool defender in Trent, have Alonso as well, and Maddison Richarlison as my midfield kind of cheaper duo, then I'm happy with that. I think taking some money out of defence, not having 3 premium defenders has helped me. I don't have as good team value as other people necessarily, so I'm definitely getting Salah back. Now, the other captain option is, of course, Hazard. And I think in the 2 games where Salah plays Cardiff and Fulham, Hazard has Crystal Palace and Everton. So they're pretty okay fixtures with the form he's in. So arguably, like I said, he should be set and forget. But if Salah's going to become a little bit, somewhat of a differential, then I want to captain him in those fixtures, I think. And I may even do it for Huddersfield away if I feel that he's going to get more minutes than Aguero. I just think he's done okay this year, Salah. He's not maybe done as well as last year, but actually I think he's only a goal behind this time last year in terms of game weeks. Stats are either very similar or better, but he has played a few more minutes. So I'm not too worried about Salah right now. I just think those fixtures coming up, the likes of Lacazette, even Hazard, who hasn't got more than 1 goal in a game, apart from 1 game. Who was that? It was Cardiff. So I just can't help but feel that we're talking about a lot of players that are in form, but they've played easier sides, whereas Salah has played 3 tough sides, plus Southampton, who he scored against, and yet we're now saying he's a poor option. So I can definitely see why. I think if he doesn't get like 2-3 goals over the next 4 game weeks, then I'll admit defeat. And I can see why people are maybe not looking at going for him, because he's very expensive, and Hazard could be your captain. But for me, if I can get all 3 of those players in, I'm talking Hazard, Salah and Aguero as captain options, and that's who I want. So I'm looking at doing KANE to Vardy, David Silva to Salah and Trippier to Trent for a hit. And I wasn't going to do the hit originally. I was going to get Mitrovic in or Arnautovic. Maybe even go back to the likes of Wilson and Josh King, who I've got to give a mention to. They're doing really well. I've owned both of those players this season and got hardly any points from them because I've just knee-jerked them too much. I just don't think I can get them back in with the fixtures they got coming out. They got a couple of nice ones and then it tails off a little bit. But they're in good form, so I wouldn't begrudge people keeping them. So rather than go for that cheaper striker, I'm going to look at Jamie Vardy, and it means I have to take the hit for Trippier to Trent. So a 4-point hit to take out those players could backfire. I just think with Salah and Trent and then Vardy up front should be good. Now Vardy does have Arsenal and then a really good run, so normally I wouldn't want to get a player in against Arsenal, but I don't think they're defensively sound. And Jamie Vardy is the top 6 killer. He always scores against the top 6, so I don't think it's the worst to have him. I could go for Lacazette instead, but I would have to get a different defender to Trent or hope that a price rise works in my favour, i.e. someone like Trippier rising in price would help me out, I think. I got him at 6.1, and then I could go for Trent. Otherwise, the thing between Lacazette's done really well. Can't begrudge him either. Scoring goals, getting assists, and doing really well. But if you look at underlying stats and stuff, especially for goal threat, Vardy's doing really well compared to him, and he's got probably a nicer run of fixtures, and he's a little bit less money as well, and he's on penalties. Which is always nice. So I'm looking at Vardy, although I will admit I'm mostly looking at him because I can't afford Lacazette unless there's a price change. If that happens, then it's a bit of a closer call, and I may go for the man in form. But Vardy's only 1 goal behind him, and I think he's played less minutes as well, or a very similar amount of minutes. So I don't think we should knock Vardy off the table just yet. So that's what I'm looking at. That was my kind of look at my team for last week. Obviously, I'll do a preview, a more interesting video with more talking points and stuff when we get closer to the game week. But yeah, Salah coming in for me. What do you think about Salah? Let me know. I know a lot of people don't want him right now, but I mean, the fixtures, surely he can do something. I know the price is there, but I just think for consistency over these weeks for a captaincy pick, he looks like the one for me. But I can't begrudge how much Hazard is in form. So let me know what you think. So that's it for this video. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks very much, as always, for watching. Sorry I went on a little bit long. I know I kind of waffled on a bit, but I wanted to get in everything about Salah and kind of my team in general. I know a lot of the players that I've got, people are looking at either bringing in, perhaps getting rid of, and there's a lot of conversation between kind of Lacazette and now Vardy as well, and the cheaper strikers as well. There's a lot to talk about. So I know it kind of went on a little bit longer than normal just for a review, but I wanted to get all that in anyway. Obviously, there'll be other videos coming over this week. I'm probably going to try and look to do a community Q&A at some point, and then obviously the preview next week, and then a stream next week as well when we get closer to the game week. Otherwise, I'll leave it there. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Let me know all your comments about everything I've said, anything you don't agree with, anything you do. I'd be really interested to hear. Otherwise, I'll catch you next time. Cheers all.